Good morning, everyone. At least I hope it's still morning where you are. If not, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Okay, so this session is session 3G. When you do your feedback, please make sure it's for session 3G. Wolfgang will be doing this session on what's new in the IBM Z Service Automation Suite. I hope that you will enjoy it, and I'll pop in again to see if there's any questions, or please leave your questions in chat, and I'll either break in and ask the question, or I can keep them till the end. So Wolfgang, over to you. Please introduce yourself and the session. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Anna. So thanks for having me. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, also from my side. So my name is Wolfgang Schäberle. I'm the IBM product manager for IBM C Service Automation Suite and also some other products in our IBM C AIOps portfolio. I'm located in Germany, and what I'm going to talk about in this session is about some updates that we have included in the IBM C Service Automation Suite over the last, let's say, 10 months or so. And yeah, I'll talk about the IBM C Service Automation Suite and the components and just introduce some of the new items. So let's have a quick look at the agenda. Please feel also free to ask at any time, and yeah, I'll try to answer in between, or if it makes sense, answer at the end. So I'll start by talking about our C AIOps framework, our portfolio, and how the C Service Automation Suite fits into that portfolio. Also give an overview on the different user experiences that we have. And then I'm going to talk essentially about the different components and products that are part of the C Service Automation Suite, which are essentially listed here: System Automation, NetView, Workload Scheduler, Service Management Unite, our web-based UI, and C ChatOps, our chat integration. So let's directly start with this first overview slide. So this is an overview of our IBM AIOps strategy on IBM C systems. So for our IBM C systems AIOps portfolio, we have developed this framework of best practices. These are organized around the different AIOps capabilities areas, around detect, decide, and act. So for each of these three areas, we have defined different capabilities and best practices that play a key role in our client's journey to AIOps. And we have also actually delivered a best practices handbook, and you will find a link on that slide that you can look at when this presentation is distributed after the session. So in this handbook, for each of the capabilities we have described here, we have a little explanation and what kind of products map to these best practices. So for instance, we are in the detect area, we have the best practices around monitoring and observability, or Megamon portfolio, for example. Decide, we have the analytics tooling. And in the act, we have best practices around collaborative incident remediation. This is around Service Management Unite, the web-based UI, and also our ChatOps, our chat integration. Then we have the best practice around intelligent automation, which is covered by IBM C System Automation and IBM C NetView. And we have predictive workload automation, which is our workload scheduling product. Sorry, IBM C Workload Scheduler. And you see this little frame around these three best practices. So this is basically the functionality that is covered by the IBM C Service Automation Suite. And if we look at this at a more product level of what this package is all about, you see here the different components and products that are bundled in the C Service Automation Suite, along to what best practice it maps in our C AIOps portfolio. And let me just quickly summarize at a high level what this is, what these products capabilities are. So by starting at the bottom, you see NetView. So Together with system automation, this is mapped to intelligent automation. So CNetView provides the basis for the automation, as well as also network management capabilities. System automation provides the intelligent automation, high availability in the environment, automation of the startup and shutdown of systems through a policy-based automation. The workload scheduler is the possibility to automate, plan, and control batch workloads, including predictive workload scheduling capabilities, AI, anomaly detection, and all that. On top of that, these products can also be got alone as standalone products. On top of that, we also have some components that are actual real value adds to the suite offerings. This is Service Management Unite and CChatOps. So Service Management Unite is the web-based user interface that provides dashboards consolidating the different tooling into web-based user interfaces. And CChatOps provides an integration with chat platforms like Microsoft Teams or Slack. And I have more details on that in a few minutes. So let's look at this a little bit in one level deeper, at a little bit more an architecture kind of slide. So this shows how the different products in the suite work nicely together. So again, you have system automation NetView here on the slide, providing the policy-based high availability and automation, the base automation and event and network management. An important part of the portfolio is that we have open APIs for integration and for integrating that also into external processes and so forth. So we have APIs for SA, we have APIs for NetView, REST APIs that are SOA conformant. We also have SOA CLI integration. The same is true for workload scheduler. So we have also there the corresponding REST APIs to interact with the jobs and the SOA CLI integration as well. All of the components integrate into Service Management Unite. And on top of that, we also have the CChatOps chatbot, which allows to communicate and to get data from these tools into a chat platform and service that data in something like Microsoft Teams, Mattermost, or Slack. And if we look at what is included in the C-Service Automation Suite, again, you see these are the components included. And one integration point, of course, is also with the monitoring side of the portfolio. So also all the Omega Mons. And for this, there's the C Monitoring Suite. I'm not going to talk much about that in this presentation, but just to show that this is a nice extension of the C-Service Automation Suite into the monitoring side of the portfolio. And also the integration into SMU and into ChatOps is given for that part of the portfolio. So let me now talk a little bit about the different user experiences and corresponding users involved in the management of the IBM C Systems platform. So let's start at the bottom. Here you see the various IBM C systems management tools that provide things like anomaly detection, automation, monitoring, scheduling, network management, all that, those capabilities that are provided by our products that are IBM C Workload Scheduler, for example, IBM C System Automation, NetView, the Omega Mons for the monitoring side, and so forth. So for these core set capabilities, we have typically subject matter experts working with these tools and 30 to 70 based terminal user interfaces to work with these products. On top of that, we also have a web-based user interface experience. So first of all, we have, of course, Service Management Unite, which provides the consolidated dashboard user interface, integrating the different tools into one platform, one console. We have dashboards for workload scheduler. We have dashboards for system automation in NetView. We have dashboards for the performance management side, so for the Omega Mon part of the portfolio. And even if the C-Service Automation Suite does not include Omega Mon, the dashboards are included. So if you have, for example, also standalone OmegaMons, you could also integrate that into the Service Management Unite dashboard UI that comes with the C-Service Automation Suite. On top of that, you can also create custom dashboards, pull in old data and all that into Service Management Unite. Then, of course, we also have several web UIs for interacting directly with the specific products, like the dynamic workload console for the C workload scheduler part of the portfolio of the suite. And there's, of course, a close integration between the different UIs. At the very top of the slide, you see the IBM C ChatOps. So this is where we bring the team together and the tools together in one common platform that people use anyhow in their daily life, right? So things like Microsoft Teams, everyone is using that anyhow on a daily basis to interact with colleagues, to discuss problems. And with IBM C ChatOps, we provide a chatbot that can integrate in these tools. And right now we support Microsoft Teams, Slack and Mattermost. So we provide a chatbot that can be integrated and that allows alerting from the different IBM C tools in a chat platform, but also a chatbot that can be used to communicate with, to get data from the various tools directly from that chat tool without having to leave the chat tool. Now let's look at some of the highlights, the main highlights that we have delivered in the C-Service Automation Suite 1.4 and 1.5. So that was in the course of last year that we delivered these two new releases. And just to point out at this high level, what are some core focus areas that we have delivered is around modernizing through our Service Management Unite user interface. So for example, for the automation operator, we have delivered new SDF dashboards that are now included in Service Management Unite. And I have more details on all of these points coming in this presentation. It's now possible to dynamically create applications directly from the web UI for system automation. We have enhanced our REST APIs and SOA-based command line interfaces. We have also enhanced the way how you can automate container-based workloads. Then another core focus area for the new releases in Service Automation Suite was around C ChatOps. So providing collaborative problem resolution from a chat platform. So, and we have added support for IBM C Workload Scheduler in C ChatOps. We allow the notification of chat users about alerts from C Workload Scheduler and other tools like system automation, like also the monitoring side of the house, of the OmegaMons. And you can even issue system commands from the chatbot directly from the chat platform. And I have more details on that later. And another core area is around AI. So providing predictive workload automation with AI. That was a specific very exciting enhancements that we delivered with IBM C Workload Scheduler 10.1, which is part of the Service Automation Suite package, a new AI engine to detect anomalies in the overall workload or also in single jobs that are executed. And if you saw Marco Cardelli's session yesterday, then he introduced that in more details, those capabilities. Also, a new workload designer has been added to IBM C Workload Scheduler. Now let's do a deep dive into the different products and what has been delivered, the main features that have been delivered in the last months. So let's start with system automation and IBM C NetView. First of all, just a little recap. What is this? What is the core capabilities of system automation and NetView? So this maps to the intelligent automation best practice that you have seen in our AIOps framework. So it provides intelligent automation to minimize incidents and maintain resilient and high available environments. System automation provides a goal-driven and policy-based automation. So to improve the infrastructure resiliency, it provides high availability in a sysplex. It provides the basis for disaster recovery and also proactive automation by integrating closely with OmegaMon. With SMU, it comes with a modern and simple user experience. It allows the integration into ChatOps. It allows automation end-to-end, even reaching out to non-C platforms. And with NetView, we also provide network performance monitoring and management. And just one example of also a hybrid cloud integration is our Ansible integration that is available. So we have Ansible playbooks, for example, that use our REST API in system automation to allow dynamically to add automated resources. So what is new in System Automation 4.3? So that is the latest release in System Automation that has also been included in the Service Automation Suite. And just I want to mention those 4 highlights. So SDF modernization, customization dialog modernization, and enhancements around the integration and REST APIs. And then there were also a set of RFEs that have been delivered. And let me start with SDF modernization. So the motivation for that is that we wanted to provide, and customers demanded that actually, to have SDF views in Service Management Unite in our web-based UI that are real-time, that a mechanism to allow system automation events to be transported into SMU views, potentially also to other consumers in real time, in near real time. And for that, we have delivered a new component as part of system automation that is named as SA Info Broker. It allows to send SDF messages into a Kafka topic. So we're using Kafka as a framework. So Apache Kafka is an open source messaging framework, PubSub messaging that is getting more and more common as a messaging infrastructure. So this SA Info Broker component allows to submit any SDF messages into a Kafka topic. Also, user-defined messages can be published into a topic. There has been also introduced a new command in system automation, BRKR for broker, that allows sending messages into a Kafka topic. And that can be consumed by any Kafka consumer. And one consumer is Service Management Unite. So we have delivered also dashboards in Service Management Unite to present those events on a SDF dashboard. And I have more details on that later in this presentation. So another piece is around customization dialog modernization. So for defining the system automation policy, we have this ISPF-based customization dialog, and we want to provide also open APIs and ways to consume the data in the SA policy by other consumers in a more open way. And for that, we have this policy service provider, a new component that is shipped as part of System Automation 4.3. And as a first step, this policy service provider allows to create reports of the system automation policy in JSON format, so an open format that can be consumed by different consumers. And again, one consumer example is Service Management Unite, who can exploit that functionality to provide reports of the SA policy, and also as a future step to provide editing of the policy through also a web-based UI, on top of being able to edit that through ISPF dialogues. So here's an example of the ISPF screen that you can use to create a JSON report. So you can select as a format JSON as a new option. Also, you have the option to pretty print the JSON so that you have a more readable output format, or if you don't use that, then it's better consumable and smaller for machine readable content or use cases. So basically, you can store that JSON report in files or in data sets, and for instance, Service Management Unite can read these reports to create graphical views, or you can load it into JSON editors or whatever you want to do as post-processing of these reports. Here's, by the way, a prototype of how this can look like in Service Management Unite. This is not yet delivered, but provides how this could look like in a web UI to first of all display the the data that comes from the SA policy, but also to modify and edit that in a later stage. Last item for the system automation side that I want to talk about is the REST API enhancements and SOE CLI enhancements that we made in the course of last year. So we have, as I mentioned before, we have standardized REST APIs for both system automation and NetView that allow you to interact with the tools, to create automation table entries, to retrieve automation table statistics, to manage cancel log data, to retrieve distributed deviper statistics. So these are some examples for the NetView side, also issuing any NetView command. On the system automation side, we have REST APIs for creating and deleting dynamic resources, for managing automated applications like starting, stopping SA resources, SA groups, cancel requests, issue requests, suspend automation, and all that through the REST API. And one exploiter of that REST API is also the SOE command line interface plugin that we have. So we have SOE CLI plugins for system automation, for NetView, also for C workload scheduler. Here's an example of how this looks can look like for system automation, using the system automation plugin for SOE CLI. And this has, by the way, just recently been updated to be also SOE version 2 conformant. So this is also SOE conformant, and there's a version 1 and version 2 conformance criteria. System automation plugin has been already made conformant also to version 2 of SOE, and you can basically interact with system automation, with NetView, with workload scheduler through a command line interface that is integrated into the SOE CLI. So you install that on a laptop, on a local machine that can be Linux-based, Mac OS-based, Windows-based, whatever, and you can then use that command line interface to interact with system automation. For example, here in this example, we're using the CLI to list all the APL resources coming from system automation. Now let's have a quick look at what we have delivered in the C workload scheduler part of the service automation suite, and more details on that you can look at if you haven't listened to from yesterday's IBM C workload scheduler specific session from Marco. So just as a recap again, what is workload automation about? What is the C workload scheduler? So it's about orchestrating any kind of unattended processes, also managing SLA constraints. With C workload scheduler, we also provide end-to-end workload automation from a single point of control. So you can manage, of course, COS jobs, but you can also manage containerized and hybrid cloud applications cross-platform and cross-environment. There's a large variety of different job types available through the automation hub. For example, there's also an Ansible integration, but also many other cloud and container integrations, a Kubernetes integration, which is new, that I'm going to talk a little bit more coming up. And let me, go back one slide. We have also the modern web UI with the dynamic workload console, but also the integration into Service Management Unite and the integration into ChatOps, which is now possible. We have embedded predictive analytics. We also have very new in our latest release, our AI-powered anomaly detection through AIDA, a new component. And also here for the C workload scheduler component, you see this as a pattern throughout our portfolio. We have the open APIs, the REST APIs, also SOE conformant. So I mentioned that a couple of times. The world is going hybrid and the mainframe is at the center of it. So of course, also for a scheduling product, it's important to be able to reach out to non-COS systems, to also include workload that is managed, that is cloud-based, for example. And we have continuously also modernized C workload scheduler. Think about the dynamic workload console, the web-based UI that is available, the REST APIs, integration into DevOps scenarios, all the distributed components of the C workload scheduler solution, like the dynamic workload console, for example, are also containerized. So you can install those components as containers even on COS, if you have a C container extension. Of course, you can also manage container-based workload, for example, through the Kubernetes job plugin. We have SOE integration, I talked about that, and we have CChatOps integration. And yeah, this slide shows the main pieces that you need, that you can use to control the environment, to schedule jobs across the hybrid enterprise. So you have, of course, the controller on COS and the various trackers on the systems to manage the COS-based jobs. And then you can have C-centric agents for distributed workload that can be traditional distributed workload, but also cloud-based workload. Another option is to use the dynamic domain manager for a pool of agents. And you have, of course, the dynamic workload console as a web UI to manage all this from one single point of control. This is a quick view of the Automation Hub. So through the Automation Hub, you have more than 90 plugins that you can use for different kind of job types to include jobs of all kinds, basically, into your scheduling plan. These are plugins for ERP integration, for public cloud providers, plugins for file transfer activities, and much more. I already mentioned we also have a SOE REST API. So we have a REST API, which is SOE conformant. So this can be integrated also into SOE API mediation layer. It can also be used without SOE, of course. But if you have SOE, it integrates in the SOE API mediation layer. There's a full set of API available to work with workstations, with job streams, with jobs, critical jobs, and all that. And we also have the SOE CLI also for C workload scheduler. So it's basically a similar thing that you saw also on system automation NetView side. So you can use that SOE CLI add-on to work from a command line interface with IBM C workload scheduler and the jobs and workstations, all that, execute jobs from a command line and so forth. Another integration point that is available is to stream workload scheduling data into analytics platforms like Splunk or Elasticsearch. And this is possible by streaming through the common data provider, so that you can customize basically what is streamed and then use that in these common analytics platforms. Now let's look at some at the highlights of the new release that is packaged in the C Service Automation Suite. The new release is the version 10.1 of IBM Workload Scheduler, and the main themes are listed here. So the first theme is around enhanced operational experience. This is all about AI integration. So we have delivered a new AI component, AI engine, to provide anomaly detection for IBM Workload Scheduler workloads. Another piece of that is also that we make ICWS C workload scheduler observable, so it can integrate into observability platforms like IBM Instana, and we also have the CChatOps integration. The second theme that is listed here is about integrating data transfers. So with this new release, we have integrated as a free component, but that is part of the product, the possibility to move files between agents. So managed file transfer capabilities between agents that can be even file transfer activities from non-C to C systems and vice versa. And the third theme here is one-stop automation modeling. So we have completely renewed the workload designer. So the web UI where you create your plans, where you create your job definitions and all that. So I have a few slides on the main themes that I've just listed. So one piece is the observability item. So it's workload scheduler is observable. We provide APIs, standard APIs to integrate into different observability tools that are common in the market. From an IBM point of view, the strategic tool here is Instana, and you can integrate metrics and logs and traces from IBM Workload Scheduler into Instana to observe also your IBM Workload Scheduler environment from such a platform. One core enhancement of our 10.1 release of IBM Workload Scheduler is around AI and machine learning. So we have this new component called AIDA, or AI Data Advisory. And that's a containerized component that can be installed as a container, and that provides anomaly detection and also alerting for jobs. And so it's at a general workload level, but also on a single job workload level. And here you see two examples. So here in this example A, we see an anomaly that is detected because the AIDA component has found out that the current job situation is not according to the norm, not according to data that it's collected based on historic processing of the plan. So, for instance, the number of waiting jobs is higher than what is expected at this point of time of the plan execution. So you can get an alert for that situation, and then you can drill down into more analytic screens. There's own UI for that to analyze that further. And this is also available for a single job. So if, for instance, a critical job payroll has 20 uncompleted predecessors at a certain time, and this is unexpected, this is unusual, then an alert can be triggered and people can be notified about that. And then you can drill down into historical data analysis through the UI that is included. The next part is the managed file transfer capability that I mentioned. So there's a new file proxy component included to manage secure file transfers between agents. You can, of course, manage those file transfers and monitor those file transfers also from the dynamic workload console. This allows also managing file transfers for C-centric agents, so also including file transfers to and from the C system. It can be also installed as a container or using a traditional installation. And finally, the final enhancement that I want to just introduce quickly is the new workload designer. So it has been completely revamped and redesigned. The possibility to create your scheduling plans, to create the job definitions. It has an improved search functionality. It provides an improved listing of the data so that you can navigate quickly to the right place where you want to edit your job definitions. You can edit multiple objects at the same time. So a lot of enhancements based on user feedback went into this new workload designer. And well, actually, this is the last item that I want to talk about. The 10.1 release is the integration with C-ChatOps. So C-ChatOps is a part of the C Service Automation Suite, and C Workload Scheduler 10.1 also integrates with C-ChatOps. And here you can see what kind of capabilities are supported. So you can send alerts from ICWS into C-ChatOps. You can issue queries through the chatbot to get information about the scheduling environment. For example, you can list the workstations. And here's an example screenshot of that. So you just mention the chatbot in your chat channel, for instance, in Microsoft Teams, say workstation list, and you get a list of workstations with the most important status information. You can then from here drill down into more details, look at workstation details, for example. You can list jobs, list critical jobs, also with searching capabilities and stuff like that. Here is one example on how you can look at a specific job details directly from the chat channel while collaborating with peers in the technical team to just get information about the scheduling, information about a certain job without even having to leave the chat channel. And you can even take actions through the chatbot. So for instance, you can restart a job. You can set the status of a workstation. And all this output always provides also drill down capabilities into the dynamic workload console. So if you want to get more details, more context information, in a web UI, you just click the link that is part of the chatbot output, like here, or open it, click this link, and this will take you directly to the corresponding dynamic workload console dashboard. End of last year, we have shipped the first SPE for IBM C Workload Scheduler, and there were also some really nice enhancements included in that, and I have listed the APAR number here as well. So in the main enhancement that I want to talk about here is the self-service catalog, cloud orchestration with the new Kubernetes plugin, and some security enhancements. So there has been a new and improved version of the self-service catalog. So that's a solution for business users basically, that enable you to run on-demand business processes from a mobile device, for example, or also from a web browser. The services are defined in the workload designer. You can just define which job streams should be published as a service, and then users of the self-service catalog can run those job streams as a service without having deep knowledge about scheduling. Then a core part of the enhancements were security enhancements. So with a new SPE, we now have better performance and stronger security using TLS version 1.3. So this introduces faster and also stronger key exchange. So any TCP/IP communication between tracker, data store, remote dialog, PIFs, and so forth, and also HTTPS communications can now be encrypted with TLS 1.3. And it also supports an TLS extension that is named server name indication that allows hostname resolution through SNI. And this is a key enhancement to allow to securely connect to C-centric agents deployed on a cloud cluster. Another key enhancement that was actually requested by many users through RFEs as well. You see here 2 RFEs with 32 or 34 votes together, is around SAF keyring support for TCP opts. So it's now possible to manage certificates for TCP/IP communications from a SAF keyring. So of course the benefits are that the usability is improved. You can now manage a single keyring for HTTP and TCP/IP communications in a RAGF keyring, SAF keyring. This strengthens also the security of the communication, and it applies to communication between the tracker and the C controller, data store and C controller, and the server and remote interface. We have also shipped a new version of the Kubernetes job plugin. Kubernetes is the leading platform to manage containers across private, hybrid, or public clouds. And for example, all the major cloud providers like Amazon Web Services, Azure Kubernetes Service, Google Kubernetes Engine, Red Hat OpenShift, they all are based on Kubernetes. So you can now use the enhanced Kubernetes plugin also with IBM C Workload Scheduler to orchestrate cloud workload from a COS controller. So you have the controller based on COS, and we now have a C-centric agent running in its own container that can be just deployed to a Kubernetes cluster using a Helm chart, which is the default standard way to install this kind of workload in Kubernetes clusters, compatible with all major cloud providers. Each application will run its own container. The containers that you schedule, that you manage from the workload scheduler, will only run when needed. The Kubernetes platform itself will distribute the workload on different nodes based on system performance, for example. So the typical cloud performance clustering will be used here. And also the plugin includes a balancer algorithm that allows also a multi-cluster setup. So you can even have multiple clusters, and this will be distributed across those clusters. So this is one of the best solutions to really run executables and scripts in a cloud cluster, in a Kubernetes cluster, and this can also all be managed from COS using IBM C Workload Scheduler. Now let me talk a little bit about Service Management Unite. So this is the as mentioned several times, the web-based UI that provides the integration of the different tools in a dashboard UI. So we have dashboards, as mentioned before, for workload scheduler, but also for performance management. So these are dashboards for all the OmegaMon agents that you also might have installed in your environment. We have dashboards for automation and for NetView, and it's actually the full-featured operational web UI for system automation customers. And it provides dashboards to allow to quickly isolate problems, to detect problems, and to also restore service again, aligned around our detect, decide, act categories. This is the welcome page of Service Management Unite, just a quick access point to access the main dashboards. So monitoring dashboards, automation dashboards, NetView dashboards, workload scheduling overview dashboard. Then you have many more dashboards available through the top menu bar for the different OmegaMons, for example. And just a few examples of dashboards that are included in Service Management Unite here for the system automation views. You can start with a high-level topology. You get a graphical view of the environment, all the systems, the sysplexes, how they belong together. You see at one glance if there's a problem in one of the systems reported by system automation, if any of the automated applications has a problem, has failed or whatever. If you select one, you can get some more information for the applications running on the selected system. And you can then also drill down into more details, go to the domain page for the system automation domain, where you see all the automated applications and resources that have been defined in the system automation policy. You get graphical views of the dependencies, so which application depends on which. And you can, of course, control also the applications. So you can do a right click, you get a context menu, take actions, for instance, restart an application, suspend automation, maybe move workload from one system to another in the sysplex. And just another example, a dialog widget that you can use to, for instance, manage the schedules of automated applications. So when should be a certain application be offline? When should it be running based on the calendar? Here are a few examples of NetView dashboards. So again, so from an overview dashboard, you can drill down into more details. For instance, here's a view of a certain NetView domain. You see the NetView tasks, how much CPU are they using, how much storage are they using, are they performing well? You can do a right click to issue actions. You see here also some widgets that show at a high level how is the NetView system performing. What is the CPU performance? What are the top 5 CPU consumers with respect to NetView tasks, right? Things like that. You can also, from all over the place in Service Management Unite, you can also issue commands. So for example, here is the dashboard that shows the cans log, so the consolidated syslog and netlog for a specific system that you can pull up in Service Management Unite. From here, you can open the issue command page to also issue any MVS command, any NetView command on that selected system. You get the output directly in the screen, on the dashboard. So a lot of possibilities here to also interact from the web UI with the system. And here's the example of the workload scheduler overview dashboard in SMU. It provides the core information about your workload scheduling environment. You see all the workstations and the main status information. You see the job streams and jobs. You can, of course, expand the job stream to see the jobs belonging to that job stream. You can do a right click to take action on a job stream, on a job. You can also drill down into the dynamic workload console for even more detailed information. You get a high level overview in this pie chart about the job status in your current plan. So how many jobs are waiting, how many have completed, how many might be in an error situation, error state. You can select the pie element to only list those jobs that are in the status information in the state. So for example, click the error pie element to only list the jobs that are in an error state. You see the critical jobs. And here on the right side, lower right side, you see also system automation information that is related to the workload scheduling environment. So if you have used system automation to make the workload scheduler infrastructure, the controller, the tracker, and all those pieces highly available and automate those through system automation, you see that information here as well, so that you have on one consolidated dashboard both sides integrated, and you see all the information at one glance. For completeness, I have here also one slide about some of the SMU performance management dashboards. Omegamon is not part of the C-Service Automation Suite that I'm talking here in this session mostly about, but the dashboards are also included in Service Management Unite that you get as part of the Service Automation Suite. So this is an important point. So even if you have the Service Automation Suite and some standalone Omegamon agents, you can use those with the SMU that comes from the Service Automation Suite and integrate the data from those Omegamon agents as well. And of course, one core feature, core value of the Service Management Unite Web UI is the integration of the different management domains, the different disciplines. And here's one example for cross-domain navigation. Let's think about, we're starting from a workload scheduler overview dashboard here. From here, you can, of course, drill down into the dynamic workload console to look at more details. From here, you can also drill down into automation dashboards to look at the automation side of things. From the automation dashboard, you may want to, in context, look at performance data for the system. So, or well, first of all, you might want to interact with the system, but then you might want to look at performance data of the system and look at monitoring data coming from Omegamon. And from here, you might want to even deep dive into Omegamon UI, this so-called IMMC Service Management Explorer, to look at even more details. So this is all nicely integrated. We provide a lot of integration between the different tools from this consolidated single point of control. So let's now also look at some of the enhancements that we have delivered in Service Management Unite 1.1.9, so which is basically the releases that we have delivered in the last year. So March, June, and December, 1.1.9, 1.1.9.1, and 1.1.9.2. And core enhancements are the SDF dashboard that we have included, the dashboard to dynamically create applications that are automated by system automation, some RFEs around how to start applications. So you have also the possibility to now specify the start type on the start request. And also we have enhanced some status information around the SA agent status and how it is visualized in Service Management Unite based on RFEs, on requests for enhancements. In our June release, we have also implemented an RFE to display the dependent resources when you issue a stop request. So when you issue a stop request, you now see at one glance what dependent applications will also be stopped because of that stop request. And we also support now Windows endpoints. If you have end-to-end automation, also managing non-COS systems, you can now also use Windows endpoints. In our December update, we provided another RFE, an important one, actually, to set the run mode of a system. So that's a functionality of system automation where you can specify a certain run mode, and then system automation will only stop the applications that are applicable to that run mode and stop all the other ones. That is now available as well through Service Management Unite. And we also improved some of the integrations that I just talked about, specifically the integration with some Omegamon views here. And I have some more examples around these enhancements. So the SDF dashboard, you see here an example screen capture. So you see the different systems and domains on the left side. You see at one glance what is the worst SDF message. So SDF is the system display facility, which is a part of system automation, which allows to collect in a focal point the most important messages in the environment. And here you see at one glance, what is the worst message status and what is that message? You select the system, then you see the captured messages for that system. You can work with these messages. You can look at details. You can drill down into the corresponding system automation resource, the job that possibly triggered that message. You also see the WTOR, so the right to operate with reply messages, and you can of course also reply to those messages. One big feature of Service Management Unite is, of course, also that you can create your own dashboard, that you can customize the dashboards. And here's one example how you can also customize the SDF views as you like, basically, because that's also one feature of SDF on 3270, that you can create your own 3270 based dashboards, basically through SDF. So you can create similar things now also on the web-based dashboard. And here's one example how this could look like. So having at one glance the different sysplexes on this dashboard. We have 4 sysplexes listed here with the most important message information and application information here below the sysplex, and you can select an entry here to get more details like the individual messages, the individual applications sorted by status information. So this is one example how you could create also custom dashboards. Here's the new dynamic SA resource dashboard. So there's a concept in system automation that you can dynamically create automated applications based on a template without having to actually update the system automation policy. And this dashboard allows to actually manage those dynamic resources, to create new dynamic resources, to view the resources that have been created dynamically, to remove those dynamic resources again. So this is of course important for dynamically changing environments. If you have if you have additional workload that you need quickly, then you can just create a new automation resource for a KICS region, for example, and you can quickly add this through templates also from this dashboard. So you can do a right click, create dynamic resource. You will get this dialog. You specify just a few information like the job name, the subsystem name. You can specify into which group you want to add this application, onto which system that should be located, and then create that resource. And that resource will be created in system automation, and system automation will then automate that application and control it. Final enhancement that I want to introduce here is around setting the run mode. I mentioned that before, so it's now possible to also set the run mode for a system directly from Service Management Unite. So you do a right click on a system that you see on LPAR and select the set run mode action from the context menu. Then you can select one of the available run modes that you have previously defined in the system automation policy. Select, for example, no KICS, no DB2. These are just examples. You can define whatever you like as run mode. Then on the right side, you see which resources will be stopped if you apply that run mode, because according to a certain run mode, you only have defined a certain set of applications that should be running. So this is, for example, for test purposes, or during bring up of a system, you only want to bring up the system to a certain point, for example, with only a subset of all applications. Then you can define a certain run mode. You see if applications are running that do not match that run mode, that those will be stopped. And you just hit enter, and this will be processed by system automation. So now to the final part of the presentation is around ChatOps. So I see I only have like 5 minutes left, so I'll be rather quick on that one. So I already introduced basically ChatOps already. It's all around integrating our tools, our systems management tools, our mainframe platform into chat tools like Microsoft Teams through an intelligent chatbot. That's something that we see more and more coming in the industry. Also, for example, here's a Forrester report talking a lot about how you can increase and accelerate incident management with AI ops and chat ops. And so how can this help to improve the incident management workflow? For example, a chatbot can notify the team in a chat tool, and this of course can reduce the time to detect an issue. The chatbot can include detailed information about the incident, in the chat channel. So this helps to reduce the time needed to identify and to analyze the issue. ChatOps helps with the collaboration by having a channel with all the relevant people, all the subject matter experts already invited. Everyone sees the same information, so this reduces the mean time to diagnose a problem. And through the chatbot, you can even execute commands to solve the issue again, so without having to leave the platform. So this all can reduce the time needed to analyze and solve an issue. And of course, also working together in such a way, in such a platform, also just provides a better culture, can provide blameless postmortems, provides more transparency because you have the history of everything and so forth. So what do we provide with IBM C ChatOps? It is a free part of the service automation suite, as I mentioned, and you can send alerts to a chat platform that just pop up in the right chat channel of your technical team, for example. And those alerts can be from system automation, that can be workload scheduler alerts, that can be Omega monitoring situations, basically everything. And we provide REST API that can be used to submit any alerts into C ChatOps. But you can also ask the chatbot for domain information. Here's one example. You can mention the chatbot and say in the chat tool, type show events for COS, and it will grab those events from the backend systems and present that in the chat channel, like certain situation on COS, high CPU situation or whatever. You can also take action through the chatbot, and that's a new enhancement that we have delivered last year, so that you can even issue commands through the chatbot that are executed on a COS system, for example. And you can always drill down into web UIs for more details. Just enables you an easy sharing of C resource information and provides a collaborative workflow to resolve problems. Here are a few examples. So here is an example of an alert from system automation. You see a looping address space has been detected and automation has reacted on that. It could be some information that you want to inform the team about. Of course, also failures or whatever. You can define what you want to send to C ChatOps and what should be sent to the chat platform. You can always, any event contains problem location information, so you can drill down into, for instance, the specific resource that triggered that alert, or corresponding dashboards in the web UI. You can also, in context, drive actions or look at more details directly through the chatbot. And here's another example of how you can interact with the chatbot. So you can query the chatbot for all sorts of information around our tools, system automation, Omega Mon, NetView, workload scheduler, get information about the resources, about the jobs and all that. And here's one example. Ask the chatbot to show me all systems. The chatbot responds with the system information. From here, you get in context buttons that you can click on to get details about the jobs running on that system. You get status information. You get context sensitive links that take you into web-based UIs. You can even take actions. And I think I have an example here. It's another example where you look at system automation resources through the chatbot. So I asked the bot again, and you can name that, by the way, as you like, give it any name that you like. Show SA resources. It has a response, the chatbot responds with a list of system automation resources, the main status information directly listed here. And from here, you can drill down into more details or even take an action, restart the application or whatever. Here's a command execution example. If you execute a command on a system, you also have to specify your personal TSO user ID and password so that, of course, any security and authentication authorization rules are adhered to. You can, another example of drill down to web UI from a chatbot output. And almost at the end of the presentation, since we're running out of time, but I think I'm almost through. Just a quick look at some of the deployment options for SMU and ChatOps. So we have all this containerized. So you can deploy that all in a container environment. You can download the containers from download pages. This can also be installed traditionally, but if you use the container, you also have the advantage that you can also even include it in a natively on COS using the COS container extension CCX, which provides a container runtime running in an address space. And for instance, ChatOps, SMU, the dynamic workload console, all those nice pieces are all containerized and can be very easily also installed in such an environment. Here, just for reference, some more information about SMU and ChatOps, videos, documentation links. We also have C trials if you want to try out those components that are part of the C-Service Automation Suite. You can also get those C trial environments free of charge. We'll get 2 or 3 days. We can play around through scenarios with these tools. And with that, I'm almost done. I'm not going to go through all this because this just shows all the enhancements that we have delivered last year in the various components. I'll finish with this slide. So please submit your session feedback. And I don't know if you still have the time. I'm okay to stay longer and answer any questions that you might have.
You have been set so that you can unmute yourself to ask questions personally, so please feel free to do that. And we can stay here for up to 10 minutes chatting if that's something you would like to do. The feedback link is in the chat, as well as available from your Bring Your Own Agenda page.
And we're also planning some enhancements pretty soon. It's not announced yet, so I cannot talk about dates, but we're planning very soon also some additional updates to the Service Automation Suite, as well as other suite offerings that we have. That will be quite interesting as well, providing some additional value and some additional components as part of the Service Automation Suite.
So if no one has any questions or is desperate to get to lunch, we can close the session here. And thank you very much to Wolfgang for speaking, and to all of you for joining and listening. And I hope I see most of you again at another session later today or tomorrow. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.